Welcome to Find Me in a Book. This podcast is meant to be like you're talking to your best friend about romance books. I share my passion with those who love to read, those who don't have time to read, or those that don't like to read, but still want to know and be involved with book conversations. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. Well, this podcast has, we've been waiting to do this for a while. When did the book even come out? I can't even remember. Was it October?
November 7th or 11th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
One
it's
of
been
those
a
two.
little over a month.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, let's see, Shandell, you were first in reading it, and I felt like I was right behind you. But
Well, you
Mom,
caught up
weren't
to
you
me.
first, like at the very beginning?
I was right behind you, Tavney, by not very
Uh-huh.
far.
Okay.
I think she finished the next day.
Yeah, so yeah, Shandell, you finished first, and then, but I caught up to you, didn't I?
Yeah,
And
because
then,
we finished within like 20 minutes because I had to do so much driving.
yes. I remember, because I was like, have you finished it? And you're like, I am taking my daughter to dance.
And I'm going to kill everybody.
I had to go to work, although my clock was screwed up, and I showed up to work an hour early, so
Oh,
I just
yeah.
clocked out, and I could read it for an hour.
So it worked out in your favor. And the reason why I'm excited, I'm excited a lot of reasons for this podcast, but Mom, you don't have a TikTok. And so you haven't seen all of the theories that people have come up with.
No.
And so me and Shandell have wrote basically all of them down so that we can tell you about them. So prepare to have your mind blown.
Okay.
Because there are so many things that even now Shandell and I are like, wait, what does this mean? So I am excited to get started, and we'll kind of go along with the book. It's not going to be like last episode where I tell everything that's happening in the book. This is basically going to be like, we'll go along a very basic outline and just talk about what happened and our theories and just discussion like that. So it'll be pretty easy, hopefully, and not cause a lot of emotion with all of us. Because, yeah, there's a lot. So the first thing that I want to talk about, that Chanel and I kind of talked about it, but Mom, you have it on Kindle, right? Like you don't have it on like physical book.
No.
So that was the same with me, but I just barely picked it up today, and I was looking at the map, and I know that there's a map in like the Kindle version.
Yes.
But I know someone mentioned that there are so many places on here that aren't even like mentioned in the book too, that it makes you wonder if they're going to be coming into play. And like, but it's also helpful. Like I'll bring my book, or Shandell can bring her book when we come for Christmas. Yeah, it really just lays everything out nicely where you're like, okay, they went from here to here and this is what happened. But mostly me and Chanel were like, was this the place? Like, where were they at? So it was really helpful. But yeah, the map on it I thought was very interesting. And even like, because at the beginning of the fourth wing, and then this book, it has that little synopsis thing from Jesinia. Says the following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into modern language by Jesinia Nilwart. She says like all events are true and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik. How far, we were talking about this a little bit, but like she would have to have done this like in the future. Like obviously things have happened and then she wrote these books or these tales or the following text or whatever. But we were wondering like how far in advance do you think that she's doing this, Mom? Like, do you think that like this is like 50 years and then she's like looking back on it? Or do you think that like she just wrote it immediately after like all these books that are going to be coming out? Do you know what I'm saying? Like when is she? I don't know. I just want to know the timeline.
Yeah.
Like, and it always gets me. And I'm wondering if it's going to like change in like the next book, or if that's solely going to be like in every book that's saying it's like being transcribed by her. And there was, okay, so it's chapter 1 at the very beginning. And that's one thing that I love about these books is the little sub like text at
Yeah.
at the top,
Yes.
because I feel like it just opens so much more. But I noticed that it said like the Aricia has been burned by the dragon. With the treaty ending, those who fled survived, and those who did not remain entombed in her ruins. But it says those who fled. And I didn't think about it that like people did flee. Like they all weren't just like killed by the fire. Obviously, we know that with like the descendants of them.
Yeah.
But it's like who else fled, and are they still like where are they? Like
Yeah.
so that's interesting because we're going to be talking about later Zayden's mom. And because we think that she has a really big part in everything too. One of the things, let's see. So it starts out with Brennan in the beginning.
Okay,
So
wait,
she
wait.
wakes up, Brennan's there.
Hang on. So I really like this page too. Can I just point that out?
Yes,
Because
that
I
was
was
very helpful.
really confused in the first book. Like I had to draw a map in my head of like how
Yeah.
the hierarchy was. And so I really liked this page. And so if anybody hears this, please in the next book or sometime between now and the next book, make a page with everybody in their signets. Like
Oh, there,
like you were talking,
yes.
Tammy. Like I need a list of people I know and their names and where
Yeah.
they belong, like
Mm-hmm.
what section they belong and what their signet is, who their dragon is,
Oh,
Yeah.
because
I
it's
need to
so
find that
much.
picture. Yeah,
Who they're
because I think someone did. You what, Mom?
and who they're related to, maybe some of.
Yes,
Oh,
I like that idea.
yeah, who they're related to too. That would be super helpful. Um, okay, so yeah, it opens up. We see Brennan because that was like the big cliffhanger at the end of Iron or at the end of Fourth Wing. That Brennan is there, so we kind of get to know him a little bit, and then they go back to the school. So a lot of things happen between those that we see. Like Jack is there, or I don't know when
No,
Jack. I
not
can't
yet.
remember when Jack comes into play.
He comes in a
Like,
little
is
bit
it later
later.
on? A little
Yeah.
bit later. So we meet. So the next year is starting for in Iron Flame. The next year of everyone. So we meet Sloane, who's Liam's sister, and then we meet Eric, who's the prince, and I think that he knows way more than what he's saying. Like,
I
it's good that they got him on their side, but it's like, why would he want to change his name and change, like, be hidden from his dad?
Do you
exactly.
think he's undercover or do you think he's doing it just by himself?
Oh,
Uh,
I don't know. I want, because I know his older brother died because he, like, was kind of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder, and wasn't
Because
Zayden the
I
one
think,
that killed him?
yes, I think so.
So I wonder it's a mixture of both, if he's trying to like defy his dad and like help, but also maybe he's going to try and like do something to Zayden later on.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
being sneaky and getting in.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
he's trying to get in just so he can get a dragon.
Okay, so as the year is going, let's see. One thing that I thought was interesting in chapter 10, at the top, the subtext, it says basically Mira was Mira was attempted to be assassinated, or I didn't say that right. Someone tried to assassinate her as a cadet. And I thought it was interesting that it says recovered correspondence. Like
Yes.
that word, like recovered. Like where did they recover it by? And
Where did they get it from and what happened that it had to be recovered?
yes. And who's trying to assassinate her? And is it because of the general? And was she a general at that point? I'm guessing she was. And like, I mean, because someone tried to assassinate Violet when she started, or this year because that's when Nadine dies.
Right.
So who is trying to
Also,
assassinate? Like,
like later on, we learn about the venom stuff. But my first thought when I went back through the book was that guy or whoever, I think it was a guy,
mhm.
is he an undercover venom or was he just sent by the venom?
Oh,
Because later on we learn about Jack.
Yeah.
And so I'm
yeah.
like, wait a second, was that guy one of those people that is like Jack?
True. And how long have they been in there? Like maybe
Exactly.
the Venom have been trying to go after them for a while.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
maybe, do you think her mom then is undercover? Like maybe, because we're thinking,
I don't know.
I mean, we could talk about it now, but mom, we think that Violet's mom is Venom because like we think we saw the TikTok that at one point she was stationed on the border of like where the venom is and like fighting, and she says like, and that's when they say there's no cure for venom being venom, but there's only control. And that was from, wasn't it from Naolin saying that to Lilith,
No,
who is the general,
it was to
right?
Nolan, the healer. It was from the healer
Oh,
to the general. And my thoughts on that was
oh,
why was he writing to the general and not Varish? And
oh,
so
true.
when was this letter actually made? Was it made a long time before Jack and Varish or was it
I think so
now
because I
with Jack?
think, yeah, I saw something that it's his title, that he was like a corporate or something. Like it has to do with his title, that
Oh,
when
uh-huh,
he did the correspondence he was something, but now he's like up here when he like died or whatever. So I
uh-huh.
think it has to be in the past. And so we're thinking that like maybe their mom or like Violet's mom was pregnant with Violet and she got like struck, or she had to like pull power from like the earth and became Venom. And that's why Violet is like how she is
Oh.
because of that. Because she says like, I will do anything to protect my family. And so
Mhm.
maybe like she's just on that very first level of being Venom.
Well, and
Like,
know that it's like uh, when what's his face, I can't, I don't remember. Anyways, he basically says they pull the power from the earth and they just want
mhm,
more and more and more power. Well, Violet's mom acted like that.
true. That she wanted more power.
That's what how I felt is she.
Yeah.
That's true, because maybe she's dealing with the addiction still, or like the
Yeah.
urge to get more
Yeah,
power, and maybe that's why she's like so blocked off, because she can't have any emotion, because maybe
Because
that like
it
makes her
ruins her
want to pull more.
control.
yeah,
Maybe it ruins her
Yeah,
control of it, like what Nolan was writing to her about.
yeah,
true. Ooh, I like that.
yeah.
I think that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, during the next year, we learn about Varish. We learn like just lots of different things throughout that school year. And then let's see. So yeah, we immediately don't like Varish. They go through their different like trials, I guess you could say, like different
Trainings and
trainings.
trials.
Trainings and trials. She has to go back and forth because Zayden has already been assigned to a place and going out on like assignments, and so they can't be very far away from each other for very long. So they go back and forth. And I know that we've kind of talked about it, but I got so annoyed with Violet in this book. I got annoyed with her and Zayden.
I did. Yeah,
Like,
both of them a bit.
She
it
was
was,
acting like a
I mean,
child.
yeah, like I liked them in the first book, but this second book, I was like, can you guys just talk to each other? But then that stemmed like what me and Chanel were talking about it, that he keeps saying just ask. like just ask me these things. And maybe like cuz we're thinking like, "Oh my gosh, just tell her, just communicate." But
Yeah.
we're thinking maybe he has something on him like he's bonded or something that he can't tell her things
Hey,
unless she asks. And
that's
so it like
true. Yeah.
it makes more sense because I think we're all just like getting frustrated that it's like, no, you have to have communication, like stop this. But maybe there is something deeper that he just can't tell her.
Yeah. That
And, but it's frustrating because
that way. Yeah.
at what point does he mention his mom? Because they kind of talk about it in Fourth Wing, right? Like mention of her that she left when he was young, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
And then he talks a little bit about it more in this one, and it's towards the later part of the book, before the big
Mm-hmm.
war,
Yeah. Yeah.
before they go
What
back for the war.
what if Zayden's mom and Lilith, like General Sorengale or whatever, what if they're like best friends and she's going undercover or something
Oh my God.
into like the Venom? Because, and maybe like the general, because she is maybe a little bit Venom, like maybe she's talking through them, or I don't know. I just barely thought about that. But mom, do you think that Zayden's mom is evil, or do you think that she's good? And
I,
do you think we'll even get to meet her? Like, do you think she'll come into play?
yeah. Oh, I bet you she'll come into play. It makes me wonder if she's good, but she got away from all that, and maybe somehow she will play into something. You know,
Mm,
um, is coming up. You
Taverny.
know.
yeah.
So, okay, Mom. Taverny and I were talking about this earlier because in one of the parts in the library later, she comes across a book about the wars of the island wars.
Mm,
What if
Mm.
his
mm-hmm.
mom is on the islands?
Oh,
And it comes in later in one of the later books. And she's like one of the
Oh.
leaders on the islands or like the special person hidden away on the islands or something. Just
good.
throwing that out.
Oh, more allies. And
Yeah.
maybe,
Maybe not, maybe she's not so
oh,
much part of the Venom. Maybe
mm-hmm,
she and the general were friends and she saw what happened to her. Didn't see the
uh-huh.
after part, but she left and went away.
Well, and
Oh,
she could be out there gathering more people.
Yeah, or
true.
gathering research for the fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or could be complete opposite that maybe she went too far being Venom and was trying
Yeah.
to get away.
Uh-huh.
And
And she's this high
yeah,
mage person.
yeah.
He,
That, because that moves into Naolin too. That we think that he's a sage and like high up in the Venom,
yeah.
because that's what we were talking about. Is that Naolin was lovers, or like him and Brennan loved each other, and so at one point when they, let's see, they go back to the rebellion camp or whatever, which we're kind of skipping around now. But when they go back to the rebellion camp and they're doing those trials and they go into that cave, remember that, Mom? And that's when Varish's dragon like comes after them.
Yeah.
I think it's at this part, but that's when Sloane, her signet, like
Man,
shows up basically.
yeah.
Yeah, manifests. And she's saying like, oh my gosh, like I drained you. And Violet's like, no, your signet is a siphon. And we found it that right after that, Tarn says she is as Naolin was. So we're thinking Naolin was a siphon as well.
Mm.
And so we're thinking, because like he saved Brennan. So we're thinking that maybe he siphoned Brennan's healing abilities to save Brennan.
Oh,
And then and then he didn't have enough power, so he pulled from the earth or to create venom, and then he pulled too much that broke the dragon and his bond,
Mm.
and so then he died from that, or not died, but he like maybe was dying, and someone saved him, like a venom saved him, or like that power. So we're thinking that Brennan knows way more than what he's
Then
saying.
mm,
Yeah, because think about it. He's been gone for so long and didn't talk to Violet or anything.
that's true.
That's like there's something that he's not saying.
It's got to
Like
be that,
there's so
or
much more.
maybe he pushed it so far that the bond between him and Taryn broke. Taryn thought he was
Mm-hmm.
dead, and so he took Brennan away, and the venom
Oh,
took Naolin.
Oh.
yeah. I
That's
could see that.
that's my theory.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, Taryn, yeah. I mean, his heart probably could have stopped, but yeah, that bond was broken. So maybe he just assumed, like, that
Hmm.
it was,
Because he couldn't
he
feel
was
him anymore.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. Um,
but
let's see.
it's also like Jack's body was so broken that he should have been totally dead.
Oh my
And
goodness.
True.
and
Like,
they
how did
brought him
he?
back.
He
So
was
Yeah.
they could have, yeah, so they could have easily brought Naolin back, considering
True.
what Jack was when he died.
But
yeah.
maybe Naolin is good. Maybe he's undercover. Like maybe
Maybe
they brought him back like Jack, and he was like, "Hey, let me go into their forces and become this sage and help you somehow."
yeah.
Like maybe he is helping Brennan
What
because
if
they did love each other.
Mm.
yeah, what if that letter from Nolan to General Sorengale is about Naolin?
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah,
What if
I
General
could definitely
Sorengale
see
and
that.
Naolin were working together
Other.
on this
Mm-hmm.
other covert side that we don't know anything about yet because the general died, and so
Yeah.
now we're
Oh,
stuck with
she.
this. Like, what was she covering up?
Yeah. She so much knowledge, but also I mean we
Sorry,
really
I
are
keep
skipping around.
eating.
It's okay. But when
I'm really
she
tied up
gets
in that.
into that interrogation with Varish and Liam shows up, we're thinking that has something to do with Malik, like the god of the underworld,
Ooh.
that maybe she's like related to him somehow, and that is one of her signets is to see like the dead. So I'm wondering if she's going to be able to see her mom.
Huh?
Like, and her mom will be able to help her in the next book.
And Zayden's dad.
Oh, and Zayden's dad. So maybe as it becomes more powerful,
And her
she
dad.
can access these
And her
people.
scribe dad.
And her scribe dad. But what if she tries to find her scribe dad and he's not there because he's not dead? Like,
I think that too. I don't think he's really dead.
I don't think so either. I don't think it's he's her real dad either.
I
Like,
don't think
I
so.
think that her dad is someone completely different.
By the way that
Like,
the general talked about that little excerpt, like, it's got to be
oh,
that she was so passionately in love with whoever this was. And by the way
mm-hmm,
that Violet and the other two talk about her relationship with the scribe, it doesn't seem like it was that at all.
Mm.
So I
true.
wonder if it is a different dad, but then the scribe
Mm-hmm.
was just like her taking care of her, let's get married so I can help you take care of the baby kind of thing.
Oh,
Like,
true.
what if her
Because,
real dad and the general were together? They got in a fight with the
mm-hmm,
venom. They think that her dad died, but then this guy takes the general back, takes care of her. They get
mm-hmm.
married because they care for each other.
And that's why they wanted her to be a scribe, because they didn't want her to have that power, or like to
Mhm.
be within that power to have a dragon and all that else. Maybe something else is going to happen because of it. And
Right.
maybe they're like, let's push her to scribe. But then all of a sudden the general, maybe she like learned something later that she was like, nope, you're going to be a writer now.
Yeah, and put
Like
Yeah, but
maybe something turned in the war.
doesn't she say something to the effect of that right before she dies, she says something to Violet of you have become everything you were supposed to be,
Uh,
right?
Oh.
Doesn't
I,
she?
oh,
Also, can I just say that I'm so glad that Varish is dead?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
once he died, I was like, thank you. Like,
Yes.
that
And
was
that's
one
why,
villain I did not want to keep going.
yeah, and everybody talks so bad on Dane, but in that moment, I was really, really hoping he was going to pull through for me. That I was like,
Yes.
come on, Dane, you can't sink any lower. Like you have to do something good
Mm-hmm.
here. And so when he did that, I was like, hallelujah.
Yes. Because wasn't it Violet? Well, like, obviously it was her, but didn't she, like, push, like, memories onto him? Like,
Yes.
specific memories that she wanted him to see?
Uh-huh.
And I think that was good because
Mommy, I
I
see
think it did
Mommy.
make or break with him. And yeah,
Yes.
I'm glad that he was like, no, these are my friends. Like, she's my friend. Like, I want to help her. And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I think he knows more than he. I don't know if we've said that, but I think he knows more than he's saying because of his dad.
yeah, yeah.
Like, do we know what his dad's signet is?
Oh, I
Oh,
don't remember if it mentioned it or not.
it probably talked about it in the first book, and it's been too
Yeah,
long.
I'll have to look for it because I wonder if that like I don't know if that has come into play with how he's raised Dane, like and how he's done that. Um, okay, so yeah, Varish is dead. She sees Liam. I'm so glad that he had an appearance in this. I think everyone wanted
Oh,
something from him
Mhm.
yes.
because it's like
Which,
our hearts are still broken.
yeah, which
He
still
And
needs.
brings
then,
up it still brings up Malik. Like, why would Malik
mm-hmm,
care so much to let Liam come to
Yeah,
her aid? Like, basically.
true,
yes.
Like,
true,
he doesn't do that for just everybody, from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so,
mm-hmm,
what does Malik have? Like, what is his stake in Violet living? Like, why is it so
true,
important to him that she lives?
true. I agree with that.
Only has a
Um,
role in all of what's going to happen.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, they break out of that little jail. Liam or Dane has his redemption. They go to the rebellion camp. That's when Mira shows up too, right? Because I think maybe their mom like talked to her or said something. How does Mira turn up at the rebellion camp? Do you remember?
They get
uh,
attacked at Calder.
yeah, yeah. I,
Oh,
yeah. She comes with her dragon.
Hmm.
okay. And that's when she sees Brennan, which I don't think Mira knows very much.
I don't.
Like I know that she's seen like a lot of action and everything, but I genuinely think she didn't know what was happening,
I
like with the venom and all that.
I agree.
Oh, Chandel, what you were saying earlier, there was a book about defeating dragons
Yeah.
when they go to the library. And it goes with the very
Oh, it
beginning
was
with just sin.
it was an excerpt on one of the chapters,
Oh,
and I don't
okay.
remember which one it was. Let me look here.
It just makes you wonder how long scribes do live because we have
Hmm.
the excerpt from Jacinia at the very beginning. She's writing these books basically. And then the scribes with like defeating dragons. Like they don't really say how long their lives are. Is there a life expectancy for any of them? Have they mentioned that at all? Like, if a dragon rider like stays alive, like how long do they live? Did they say that their lives are extended at all?
I don't
I
think it's
didn't.
really talked about it.
Yeah, I didn't catch anything like that.
Yeah, which I'm
'Cause
wondering
it
if
talks
there
about
will be something.
it's gotta be because the dragons live so long,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they can go through many riders. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
True. And speaking of age, so we have that. Oh, Mom, did you catch with Andarna that she has been in her egg for like 650 years?
Yeah.
And then there's a point that Taryn says, because Violet asks Taryn about the ward stones and if he knows anything about them. And he says that he's like, I'm not 600 years old. So Andarna has been basically alive before Taryn is. And so, sorry. So we're thinking that maybe like she knows way more than she's saying, because Taryn and Coda, who is like the main guy, is it the king's dragon? Coda is,
No,
or like the main
it's
general,
the
or like
army, like the head of the army.
okay, that's what I thought. Um, those two dragons are kind of like the oldest, they say, right? Or like, and Darna is older than that. Is she like the oldest dragon then, or there has to be older because like the elders, they say like she's talked to the elders and everything. But do we know what the king's dragon does? Because that just reminded me of that.
Does the king have a dragon? I don't remember that
Uh,
I don't remember
I
that.
feel like he would have to, right?
because
I
Tenebris,
don't know.
is it Tenebris or Takaris or whatever his name is from the other city, the other province?
Mm-hmm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have a dragon,
True, he doesn't. So maybe it's just like lineage.
Maybe.
But
or you have to
in
go through the
order
school to
for,
bond, or the dragon picks the
yeah,
rider?
that's true. It's not really with lineage because, yeah, because they go through all the different like trials and everything, and then it's up to the dragon if they want to bond with them.
Yeah.
Right,
So that makes sense. But if they are of like your lineage or whatever, then you get like a second signet or like a more powerful signet if they're like related.
right. Which
So,
I want to know.
okay.
I want to know who approves that or doesn't, because remember how they said, like, so was it the dragon elders that approve the bonding? Are they the ones that approved
Oh.
Zayden and Sigil?
Oh, I don't know. I think Sigil just says, "You're mine." Like, because I think he like killed someone. And that's when Sigil was like, oh, yep, you're my writer. Like, you're
Who's
really
ruthless?
great or something. But I
Hmm.
think maybe she had something in mind too because, like, she knew his grandfather. And so
Right,
maybe she knows that that line is really powerful. And
Maybe.
so she wanted him to have a second signet.
right.
Because I wonder if the dragons kind of like they. I mean, obviously they know about the second signet, but I wonder if they're like strategic about it.
Well, and
That's like, oh yeah,
some of them they've got gifts, and so there's got to be someone that can see the future, kind of like Kodak that can see
yeah,
the battle outcomes. There's got to be
mm-hmm,
someone that says this guy's really special. Watch out for
yeah,
him, or something of those lines.
true. That's very true. And then let's see. So we talked about the island wars a little bit because you mentioned the islands, but where did you see it that there were like island wars?
I don't even
Um,
remember.
it was
Yeah.
when they're in the archives getting the journals, and
Oh.
she's looking for it, and she comes across two titles. One of them
Oh,
is um, the Island Wars, and the other one is the Winged Creatures book.
Oh, right. So then, yeah, like we were talking about that there could be more winged creatures than
Yeah.
the wyvern and the dragons and the griffins. Like
Uh
there
huh.
could be way more and they could be stationed on the islands. And
Mm-hmm.
so because they had their wars, so maybe yeah, they might come into play later because they were saying like what happened 600 years ago that defeated all the venom, like maybe
Right.
it's located on the island, like maybe there's a creature or something that is going to come and help or
Right.
like a
We know
person or
Andarna's super special for dragons. What if they need to
True.
find that super special one of all these different species?
True. Like maybe like a yeah, like something is over there that they'll have to go there. Um which yeah, it was very interesting when Adarna, she's like a chameleon.
Yeah,
Like uh
when she
and
just shows
like
up
just
at that
all
one
of her
spot.
changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like she's always changing and she's growing and she I love how she's kind of like a teenager that's
Yeah.
like she has so much attitude and sass that like it's kind of funny in that way.
Well,
Hmm.
Um
makes me wonder how fast she's got to be growing fast. And if she's
mhm,
been the egg or asleep for how many years and she's
true.
old, boom, she is growing. And no wonder she needed all the sleep before. So
Hmm.
True.
thing can catch up. And she's, yeah, there's so
Yeah,
much for her.
which makes you
That's
wonder
very true.
what's the average egg time, you know? Like for the other species or for the other
Mhm.
whatever of dragons.
Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how long do their eggs sit there? Is hers abnormal? Like was 600 years in the egg too long? Like what's the average
Yeah.
time before they hatch?
Especially didn't they say that she's growing really I mean, we know that she's growing really fast, but like
Hmm.
way faster than most dragons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like
Yep.
that means that she's going to be like huge and powerful. Do you think that she's going to maybe take over for Taryn? Like maybe she's going to have more of a
No,
front
don't
seat
say
in
that.
like this next book? I
That
mean, not that
sounds,
anything's going to happen to Taryn,
I
but
know, but that
like, do
sounds
you
bad.
think that she's going to have a bigger part?
Yeah. Or if she takes over the council.
True.
Mm.
It keeps making me wonder. I want to say that, like, I really think that Violet's going to get even another signet because, like, it has to do something with, like, how closely connected Taryn was with Brennan. That I really think that she's going to get a second one from Taryn and then a third one from Andarna. Like,
Hmm.
especially because she doesn't have, like, the stopping time anymore. So
Yeah,
what's that going to
Yeah.
evolve into?
right. Or
Like,
Yeah.
can can Andarna kind of pick and choose her gifts at a time? You know,
oh,
like
because she's like a chameleon
because right
type
now
thing.
she's a chameleon. What if in the future she sees someone else's trait and kind of like a siphon, she can
Yeah.
absorb it or something like that?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Mm.
I think that she's just it's an open book for her. We just don't know. Okay, so let's see. So they go back to the rebellion camp. They go and meet with Takaris in that city. They meet all the griffins. The griffins come and they go back into the rebellion city. And we were talking like something I don't know. Mom, what are your thoughts on the ward stones? Like, because there is the one within the rebellion camp that the griffins and their riders can still use their powers and everything. But then there's the ward stone over Basgiath that they can't have any like venom or griffins or anything like that. Do you think that there's like different levels or like do you think Chandel was saying earlier that maybe it was the right spell at the rebellion camp that you can have the griffins and you can have like their powers and stuff like maybe that is the correct one
Mm.
but maybe they tweaked it and something maybe they have like dark magic in the one at Basgiath. Oh, you're doing a thumbs up. That maybe that's why it changed. That none of them can go in there.
Uh,
Like I
Maybe that's why the wording was different in those two journals.
uh,
true
very true. Yeah. Huh.
that it's with like the different locations.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, weren't they saying that one of the journals like they rebelled, or like one of the seven people or whoever, six people, that one of them was like went bad or something, or like
So,
I can't remember who it was,
but
but yeah, maybe that's why they're different.
they were thinking it was a love thing, that they were lovers and got scorned, and so he
Oh.
left or something. It's been a while since I read the book.
Okay, so Jack goes bad again
Yeah.
and he's still alive. But do you think that he gets to keep his signet? Especially because like his dragon is dead.
I
Like,
wouldn't think so because if his dragon, but wasn't he supposed to totally die when the dragon dies? That's what happened to Liam.
but that's the thing though, is I think he pulled too much venom power that it broke the bond.
Oh, I
And
I can't imagine
that's why
keeping his power. But
yeah, I don't know. And I can't remember what Jack's power is. Do you remember his power?
no, I don't.
I don't either. And I don't know if it was mentioned. Like, I'll have to look for it. But yeah, that's why I think Taryn was able to bond with Violet, because Naolin maybe pulled too much venom power and broke that bond. So I think that's what happened with Jack, is that he pulled too much venom power and broke that bond. And so that's why I think everyone's worried about Xaden and pulling power, because Sigale's like, what are you doing? And because I think their bond is still there by the end of the book.
Yeah,
And so I want to say, like, if he just barely pulls a little bit, that's when she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah, yeah. Because
So,
he's just finding out that he's got some venom. So
yeah,
I don't think he's pulled much of anything, if any.
right. Yeah.
So
That it was such a surprise. Like, what was your reaction when he like pulled the power? Like what did you think?
I was like, "What is going on?"
I never even like thought that he would do that, you know? Like it never even occurred to me until it happened that I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Okay, the power boxes. Oh, and then Darna, we talked about Andarna with her being like a whole different line. She's being like the seventh line of like the dragons. Do you think that there's more in that line? Because I don't think they can really tell when they're in the eggs, right? Like what line that they're a part of.
Other than it's a possibility, the colors of the eggs and maybe
True.
or no spots or things like that. Because
Yeah, because.
about that, and the cartoons are kind of like that. How the
Mm-hmm,
eggs are a little bit different with
mm-hmm.
things like that. So
Yeah. I wonder if there's just going to be more, like more from her line. Like maybe she's part of royalty.
maybe,
Like maybe because she is the first, is it, didn't it say that she's the first of that line? Or like,
She's the last of that line.
yeah, that's
Because
oh,
it said she was left behind for this reason. She was left behind by her kind.
oh,
So where did her kind go? Sorry,
oh,
I'm jumping in. I don't
N-
know what you guys have already talked about.
no, that's perfect. Because
and
maybe her kind was the one that like sacrificed themselves to kill the venom.
that's a possibility.
Ooh.
Or they could be on the islands.
They could be on the islands. Yeah.
They could be on the islands. Oh, chills.
And why did they leave? Like, why did they leave her? Maybe one of them could see
Yeah.
the future. Maybe
And so
And
that's,
they knew how.
yeah. Or maybe they could time jump like she did, and
Oh.
maybe they saw it, so they left her.
maybe.
Oh, that she would play a really key part in all of it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. How does Rebecca Yarros come up with this? Like, there's so many
I want to
different
see.
rabbit holes.
I want to see her room. Like, is it
Yeah,
sticky notes? Is it maps? Is it
it's
Yeah.
pictures.
strings? Is it what is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. I, and there's still so much more too.
Yeah.
Like, let me see. I had some notes. Um, let's see. The Mori-chan. Okay,
Okay.
so we went over that.
Can I ask?
Um,
Um, where is it?
Oh, we need to talk about Zayden's second signet as well.
Yes. But I also want to know at the end, why does it say basically that he was tethered to the venin, and when he killed that venin, it cut off the tether?
That Zayden was?
Yes, because remember, I'm trying to figure out where it's
Because
at.
maybe that pulls into play of why he thinks that they're after him,
Yes,
but
that's
everyone
part
thinks
of
that
it.
they're after
Uh-huh.
Violet.
Yes.
Well, I know how was it the first book that how Violet killed the one bad guy, which it killed the rest of them that were tethered to that guy. So
Oh.
somehow maybe somebody's tethered him,
Hmm.
Zayden, to them somehow.
Yeah, because
By pulling that power.
he talks about the nightmares that he's had,
Yeah.
which remember Violet also has nightmares of the sage.
Yes.
And so somehow she
Oh.
got tethered to the sage. I bet it's probably why Zayden is tethered to the one that he was fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
And also,
That,
I
yeah.
just read this part that when they're having the conversation before Zayden kills him, he's like, "Because you're a
Hmm.
sage," and the Venom laughs and he says, "No, I'm a general." So is he saying that he was a general before he turned Venom and he just kept his title? So where
Oh.
does he fall? Like where did he come from? He doesn't say his name, but he is a general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember that part.
I didn't either till I
Oh
read
my
it.
gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I I wonder if it has to do with like his second signet. Like I wonder if there really is just so much that he's gone through that he just can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or like yeah, I really think he's still hiding so much.
Much.
And
He
like
is.
the
Yeah.
different things that he's been to, especially if you're saying that he's like tethered to them, like
Yeah.
how did he
Yeah.
become tethered? Like how long has he been having these nightmares? Like
Yeah.
when we're talking
But
about
he's
that second signet, oh go ahead.
sorry. But he does say that once he killed that venom, the tether was stopped. That he was no longer tethered
Mm,
to that particular one.
mhm. Wait, shouldn't he have died then? Cuz isn't like the venom all kind of connected like their sire or whatever?
Um
Or was it
yeah.
just the wyvern? Like if you kill the venom then the wyvern dies.
I think I think it was the wyvern.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
Whoever's listening to this is going to be like, read the book again.
I know.
You're going to be like, I just read this book and you got it all wrong.
Probably.
oh, yeah, we should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that there's going to be so many things once we come for Christmas to talk with Emily, because I'm sure
Oh,
that
yeah.
she's probably has a lot of things as well.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk to her about it.
Yeah.
And I'm also really
Um.
proud of us that me and mom have not discussed it at all
Yeah.
because we knew we were going to do the podcast. And so I was like, we can't talk about it at all. There's no talking. And we
I
did
know.
so good, but then we forgot it all.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and
That's so
of course
funny.
I haven't chatted with Emily about it either. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
What mom
also,
from? Well.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I changed my mind of what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
But what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say, wrapping it up, maybe about Jack at the end.
Oh yeah, but we have to talk about Zayden's second signet because I
Yes.
just saw a TikTok that said in the fourth wing he says I know what you are thinking because she says like effing traitor or whatever, but she says it in her mind
Right.
and then
I
later on
think
he's
he
like I know what you're thinking.
I think he
And
slipped
so
up.
I think so too.
I
Like
think
I
Mhm.
that's
think
what it
there's
was, is
definitely
that
hints.
he just got too absorbed in her and he slipped up for that second.
Mhm. I think so
And
too.
so
So I think that there are
I think
more
Rebecca let
hints.
it slip. or not
Yeah.
like she did it intentionally, but
But
a
Mm-hmm.
little
yeah.
foreshadowing that we didn't pick up on.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, what were you gonna say about Jack?
Just the end conversation that I was like,
Oh, with
"Are you kidding
Zayden.
me?"
Oh, I need to reread that part again.
Yeah.
Cause
And
like,
even the conversation in the with the wardstone too, like was the wardstone always on fire? Did I just not catch that before that it was always in
oh,
flames or did Jack do that? Like did he pull from the ground to overpower the wardstone? Like
oh, and
that's why
that's
it
probably
was
what broke the bond of the dragon
that's what
right
I think.
then.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah.
Interesting. Were you guys sad when her mom died?
Yes. In a
Mom
way,
cried.
yeah. I
I was
cried.
You
more
cried? Oh,
I
I
was
was
like,
more mad.
finally, she's acting like a mom.
that's true. I thought both as well. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, good, you're actually doing something for your daughter."
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
then I was like, "Dang it, she's has so many secrets."
I know. That's why I really like your theory that she's going to come back, like that her signet, Violet's signet, will be able to let her talk to her again. Because I'm
Oh,
like,
Yeah,
there's so much that I want to know from her. Yeah, I
yeah,
was more mad than sad. But I was also like, good job, good for doing something for
yeah,
your kids. But then the next excerpt is like, I do anything for them. That's the reason why I'll die is for them. And I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
yeah. It's like,
What all have you been doing?
exactly all the stuff she's been doing. It's like
yeah.
for a reason for her kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly. Um, okay, so I turned to the very back with Jack and
like the very last
Zayden.
page. Yeah.
Yeah, it says cures are for diseases. What we have is power, and that isn't curable. It's inevitable. He said, no, there's a way to get rid of it. He says, oh no, there's no cure. You can never get back what's taken. You'll only hunger for more. He says, I'd rather die than become one of you. Um, he says it says fear flavors the words because I feel it, the power beneath the college, the craving to sate the need for it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the Venom want to take over the college is because there's so much power underneath it.
Mm,
Maybe
um
that's why that ward stone works differently too.
True,
Because maybe
very
there's too
true.
much power there.
Yeah. Okay. And then he says, and yet you just did all this time. You've been convincing everyone you're the hero, and now you'll be the villain, especially in her story. Welcome to our effed up family. Guess we're brothers now. So, family meaning there are more than just one. So,
So
that's why I
they've got
want
to
to
be
know how many
connected.
Venom are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's crazy. I don't know what's
I,
going to
I
happen.
this book that she puts out is going to be so much more mind-boggling than what we're thinking this one is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, out of all the information that you've learned today, what do you think has blown your mind the most?
I would say probably about the islands and the
Okay.
possibility of all that and
Yeah. It
what's
really does open up.
there and what is to come from it.
If
Yeah.
Yeah.
anything.
If
If anything.
anything, yeah.
But like,
Because there's going to be 5 books, right?
I think
Is there
Like,
so.
5 books?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
why it's like, what else could there be? And so then you're picking up on everything because there's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
And with her
Mm-hmm.
mind, like with the other books that I've read of hers, I'm like, it really could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anything could happen.
Yeah. Agreed. Gosh. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it all during Christmas break.
Yeah. But I was telling
Um,
Taffany earlier that I enjoyed reading this book, but I felt like it was really a hard read because I was looking into everything so much.
Uh,
And and because all the other books that I read, it's just to read. It's just to enjoy. It's
yeah,
to be surprised. It's to be like in the imagination. And so I feel
exactly.
like this book has such a big universe and so many people sending theories and all of this that I'm like, did I even enjoy the book? Like,
Yeah.
or was it stressful because I was
Yeah.
trying to look into everything? And
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
for the next book, I just am going to read it. Like, I'm going to really try hard not to pick up on every little thing until
Mhm.
after I read it through the first time at least,
And,
and then go
and
back on
that,
little things that I remembered.
yeah, and that's how I was with the book. Is I got through it first, and then at the
Mhm.
end, I'm going. Then I'm coming up with all these. I'm just going, oh boy, how are things going to be with Zayden?